Grab your dice, grab your beer. It's time for the Beer Hammer Podcast.
So as you just heard, we are the Beer Hammer Podcast. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 14. I am your host, good old Eric Carpenter, and I'm joined with Paul. Woo! I don't know your last name.
Excite Schmidt, that's right. Nick Baker, who's joined us before and hasn't been here in a while because he keeps claiming he has to work, which we all know is bullshit. And then Derrick,
hi,
who doesn't actually have a last name.
Nope.
And
confuses the police, something terrible.
Right. I'm confused. We just started.
Right. Some of our other hosts, Andrea, will not be joining us. She had things to do, and Joe, who was with us last week. Yeah, that work thing. We all know that's a lie. Anyway, we are a podcast that focuses mainly on non-competitive play and having fun with your miniature games instead of, trying to table people, because that's dumb. I'm just kidding. It's not. If you want to play a tournament, go play a tournament. Who cares? Anyway, so to start things off, we kind of usually go through whatever we're working on or whatever we're doing. I've been actually working on the Night's Watch Army for Song of Ice and Fire, and I built some Eldar and some Malifaux because Derrick saw the models at Gigabytes and went nuts over them.
And then,
because he went nuts, I had to top his nuts.
Sprinkled.
There was supposed to be an awkward pause after I said top his nuts.
It's always been awkward and it ain't changing.
No, it isn't. And so I've been building those and working on that stuff mostly.
God, Malifaux, man, like that game's been through some changes.
Third edition beta rules, they opened them up today.
Yep. There's a lot of hope for the future of third edition beta rules in the gaming community, from what I understand.
Well, the second edition rules are pretty cool from what I've read through. I haven't played it yet.
I haven't played it. The models are some of the most challenging I've ever gotten to build. They are fucking hard to put together. Not a good game for someone getting started at all.
I have a whole bunch of the little goblins that just use them for D&D.
And that's what I've got. I got a bunch of gremlins because it's like Swamp Billy Cajun gremlins with pigs and golems that are made out of whiskey barrels and full of whiskey. I mean, what's not to love about that? But opening things up like, oh my God, I can't even see those little pieces. That's an arm? No.
Yeah, you had to put knife fingers on the little mannequin dolls for one of the factions. You have these
most
little
of my
knives.
Malifaux is the old like it's all metal.
These are
first edition.
These are plastic. I mean, they're really nice looking models, but they're actually really tough and really challenging to put together because it's the instructions aren't very good.
Ooh, Forge World. Here's a picture.
Right? No, you don't even get that.
No picture.
No picture, no exploded diagram. There might be one online.
So they are online. They do have assembly instructions online.
Yeah.
For some.
Only some?
Only some.
Oh, wow.
Only some. They did. I did get one where it was. I just thought it was super cool. It was a clear plastic model, so it was. And holy crap, that was the toughest thing I've ever had to build. I'm still not finished with it because it's clear. You can't see mold lines. You can't see where anything is supposed to go.
Just kind of see straight through it.
You can.
And the worst thing with clear is when you get super glue like on the plastic, it all shows up everywhere.
It was supposed to be you just you would see just a couple of spots of clear, like clear whiskey is what it was supposed to be, I think.
Being a whiskey golem.
It's a whiskey golem.
Yeah, it's a golem made out of.
I need that
whiskey barrels. Yeah.
I don't.
That is pretty cool.
That sprue. He's showing us a picture of this sprue. It looks atrocious.
It's absolutely
not that it's poor quality.
Oh, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's you really need to be a skilled modeler to do the thing. So it's been a fun challenge working on these things. But yeah, they're just. I mean, they're tiny. They're fiddly. They've got a lot of very, very breakable parts. But super fun to put together, and like really, it's like really satisfying once they get done because it's fucking hard.
I will tell you that the first crew I bought, which was Karis's crew, the Bound by Fire, has a girl with mechanical wings and a bunch of little fire gremlins and stuff with it, or fire gaming is what they're called. I put that together and painted it. Because I actually had 3 days off for Christmas. And so in those 3 days, I put together that entire crew because we met up the Sunday right before Christmas. I put together that entire crew and had them all painted by the time I went back to work.
Is that the same thing?
Similar.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, what?
So, that's what one can do when motivated. So what else are you working on?
Oh, Malifaux. So we get the gremlins from Malifaux. Which is just, again, awesome and challenging. And then eventually I'll figure out the rules because I got to read those word things that, with the page printed, and the scribbly.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. I'll do it. And then when
and just tell me what to do. And I'll be, just again, mystified why I lose all the time.
Then, oh, look, Derrick, you drew that card. That means Eric wins. That's the Eric wins card.
Clearly, what do you mean?
Bet you didn't know they had that in the rules. It says right here, page 3, subsection 6.
I sure didn't.
Eric wins.
I sure didn't. Yeah, so I've been working on that. I've been staring at my Song of Ice and Fire models, like
paint them,
wanting to get onto them. I just can't figure out which one to say. So Eric and I went to another gaming store's swap meet.
Yeah, it was Gigabytes. Yeah,
Gigabytes yearly swap meet.
I love their swap meet.
And so we were. So it was a really, look for those in game stores in your area because it's a great way to. Eric was getting rid of stuff that he had that had been sitting around. I was getting rid of there's a whole pile of people that were getting rid of stuff that they were done with. They hadn't touched in years. And then take the money that you get selling that stuff, turn around, buy new stuff, like a whole goddamn, like every single box of Song of Ice and Fire that they had in the place.
Then come back next year and sell that stuff.
Just to give you an idea, Derrick sold several armies, and we actually had I had a rolling cart that I had like 4 or 5 bankers boxes full of minis and crap on, along with a couple other things, and an entire tackle box full of X-Wing and Armada stuff, which I sold, by the way, thank God. And we literally, when he was picking out his crap for his credit that he got bought of stuff he sold, and the stuff he bought, he had to use my cart to take everything up to the register.
Yeah, I sold a bunch of armies, a bunch of old like Bolt Action and Flames of War and stuff. Dudes wanted them.
Well, there's a community. It may not be in your local, but there's somewhere. There's a.
I know they play a lot of Bolt Action up at Gigabyte.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, and it was cool because the stuff that I built, I had fun painting it, and it had been sitting in my basement for like the Flames of War stuff had been there probably 10 years since I've touched it last. Mm-hmm. So somebody else gets to have fun with it, and I get some cool new stuff. So looking at painting a lot of Lannister everythings for. Song of Ice and Fire.
Did you get the Pyromancers unit?
Not yet. I didn't grab that one yet. That looks super nasty.
I do want to know if they're good or not because I don't know. It might make me play Lannisters because I'm serious. Green fire flinging shit wizards is amazing.
So your magical shit wizards, to explain them, they have absolutely no staying power. They just completely crumple. And what they do is they're this little sneaky unit. It's kind of like the old Skaven warp fire throwers.
Okay.
Because they have to have line of sight, so they're not chunking it like over the unit or anything. And that short range in that game at 6 inches in that game, that's not really as horrible as one might normally remember. And remember, you can shoot into melee.
Yeah, right.
Huge factor. The penalty for shooting into melee, your dudes have to take a morale test. Well, you're playing Lannisters. Go-ho, Mr. Commissar murders a guy, and you pass your Commissar. In the meantime, you're flinging no saving throw allowed shit wizard fire at your enemies. It's fantastic. Now, a problem is it tends to be bait. Those little dudes hiding around the corners and edge, expect some Stark Outriders or a group of Lannister cavalry to be like, nah, those can't be there, fam. And just
I was just all amped up when I read what Tywin Lannister can do on the tactics board.
Oh, he's so fun. He's so fun.
He's just mean.
I've never paid attention to him, and then Derrick sends me the picture. He's like, check out Tywin, and I look and I'm like, holy fuck, you're not allowed to use him when you're playing against me. Like, that's not gonna happen.
The Lannisters do have a lot of the cheaty face going on.
Yeah.
That you'll see in Song of Fire and Ice right now,
which is great. I mean, because that's what it's all about. Oh, hey, you're doing great. No, you're not.
No, surprise.
You seemed to be winning. That's very true.
I haven't actually seen you said you're doing the Night's Watch. I haven't actually seen them played yet.
They're fun.
Being, like tinkered with.
They are all about some. Oh, you killed 3 ranks in this unit. No, you didn't, fam. And then you're back up to like almost full strength.
This definitely sounds like cheating.
Yeah. Well, everything
isn't that what the whole game is all about?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
right.
No,
each side cheats in its own very special way. Yeah.
And I love how balanced it tends to be. Like, yes, you might go into a game and someone has something that just crumples your force, but then they go into the next match versus somebody else and they've just got the appropriate counter.
Yeah. Before we get too divergent, we'll come back to all the fun stuff about the rules of units and whatnot in Song of Ice and Fire, because I will give you a whole rundown on Night's Watch because I love them. Cool. And then were you doing anything else hobby-wise?
Oh yeah, still working on my Night Lords, tons and tons and tons of them. That, and of course, before we got started, we've been talking about doing another escalation league.
Are they 30K or 40K? Your Night Lords.
Oh, Night Lords, I'm doing them 30K, and I'm just using the Chaos Space Marine list for just infantry, and which actually pretty well parallels the 30K list from Forge World. And painting them up in the pre-heresy.
Yeah.
So painting them in Great Crusade colors. Yeah. Having a blast doing it.
They're beautiful.
So I'll look forward to playing that.
There are a couple pictures of them on the Beerhammer Associates Facebook group.
They look pretty nice.
We'll have to remember to post a couple more.
And it's going to be an ugly, ugly army because at 2,000 points, it's going to be 110 Space Marines. I'm doing a Space Marine Horde army, which are awful to play against.
The term Space Marine Horde army. I'm not sure if that's, and it's not Khorne Berserkers. I mean,
and it's not
Khorne Berserkers. If it was Khorne Berserkers, it's a different story.
And it's not Khorne Berserkers yet. But I've years ago I've played against a couple of Space Marine Horde armies where it was just Space Marines with bolters, and it's just hellish to play against because you cannot kill enough of them. They just jam up the whole damn board. And that's how I spent my summer vacation.
Right. and Andy went to band camp and he did shove a flute up his pussy. I can confirm that.
What a flute? Nobo.
I mean,
dang.
It was flute-like.
You were blowing in it, so.
I mean, when a girl says, come get it. So, Nick, what about you?
I'm working on 2 things now. Like Derrick was saying, we got the new hobby league in the works, and I'm actually just working on Plain Jane Ultramarines, which I know
they're not Plain Jane, they're Primaris.
Oh, okay.
Extra tasty.
So, crispy. In the past,
extra snowflakey.
Look. In the past, I have made fun of the Primaris, and yes, here I am, the hypocrite playing with the Primaris. Okay?
In the past, it's relentlessly.
We'll get that out of the way.
Actually, you know what? I actually have to praise you for that, because even though you can be critical about crap, it doesn't mean that it means that you're not closed-minded. You're just like, Primaris, special snowflake, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, well, I actually kind of do want to play them. So it means that you're not like one of those people that's just like,
that just hates something to hate it.
Yeah. It means that, you get over it and you move on.
But I've been having a good time with them, and the best thing with just Space Marines is I just find them lying around, and the army just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah,
that's the mark of a real Warhammer player. I need another unit. What's in this drawer?
What's in this box? But it's like I go out into the garage. I'm like, oh, here's a Burning of Prospero box. There's some Terminators. There's some Marines.
Go to the swap meets. That's apparently the problem.
Yeah, you open
know what?
The
it's really helpful.
Yeah.
You open up the microwave. You're like, well, how did Space Marines get all over my burritos?
But one thing I've noticed is with Ultramarines, you really never see them around. So I'm going to put the Ultramarines on the table.
Go for it. I think it's awesome.
The other thing I've been working on is, since 2019 has finally reared its ugly head, I have started...
Inevitably so.
Yeah. But I've started working on the Sisters of Battle stuff I do have in preparation for the upcoming plastic models. So I've got my Penitent engine painted. I'm working on my Exorcist and my Immolator. And
thanks to Derrick and whatnot, I actually have pure Sisters. I have close to like 15 or 1,600 points, pure Sisters. And then if I start adding in like Inquisition or Assassins or other Imperial crap that I can add in, I would have a 2,000 point army in no time. So I could technically do that.
I am curious to see how they're going to do, because Games Workshop's teasing the Sisters themselves, but I am curious to see how they're going to do things like the Crusaders and the Priests and all that stuff. So
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, I would certainly hope that everything that we've seen with all of the Rogue Trader stuff that's been coming out, where they've been really dipping into, the lore that they wrote 30 years ago, that we're going to get to see more and more of that crazy crap. Because I saw one where it was like the Amble is going to be coming out as an expansion for Blackstone Fortress.
Yes. And then the cybernetic ambles for Necromunda.
Yeah, exactly.
Those look so cool.
One thing I do know, Eric, you have the chapter approved for this year.
Yeah.
In those beta rules for the Sisters, how are they wording their keywords? Because I am curious to see how they're going to play with Inquisition.
Let me flip it open and let me look, and it says, buy your own fucking copy, Nick.
Dang. That's cold.
Isn't it? Ice cold. No, I don't know, because I didn't look at the keywords too much.
Because I am curious to see how they are going to play with Inquisition and stuff like that.
I mean, it's Imperium, and then it's, I believe, Adeptus Sororitas.
They'll play nice with each other because they tell them to.
Yeah, trust me.
Because the Emperor wills it.
So I'm just curious on how they're going to mesh with like the Battleforge rules, and got to have keywords matching, but they'll just have to be in their own detachments, I guess.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff does, some of the stuff does not. Because the thing is, like, if you take a Sisters Repentia squad, the Mistress of Repentance does not count as an elite choice for that detachment. Even though she's her own separate unit. You have 10 Sisters Repentia, that's your elite choice, or fast attack, or whatever they are. I can't remember. But then the Mistress of Repentance is I believe, an elite only. And it says literally, this does not take up a Force Org.
So it's like Calgar and his
Victrix Guard.
Victrix Guard.
Yeah, it works the same way as that, where it's like it doesn't actually take up a slot, so you're not.
They count as separate units, but they don't take up separate slots.
Right. So you're not like, because if you're playing, a Vanguard detachment, you can only have up to like 4 or 5 elite choices. And it's like, okay, but if you're playing a battalion, I think you only get 3 elite choices or something like that.
But you get your Mistress Repentia or
right. So you can have it no matter what, and it doesn't matter. You can pick other elite stuff if you'd like. And so it does. There are some funky stuff with that. And then if you have like the Ministorum Priest, there's some stuff that he basically says, oh, this doesn't take up a Force Org slot either if you've got him in there. And like if you have Celestine, the little bodyguard chicks, they don't take up a
Seraphim.
slot. Yeah, they don't take up an HQ slot or anything like that.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I was wondering how they would work in this, but now I know.
Now you do.
And knowing's half the battle.
Most days. So you've been working on anything else?
Not really, outside of just working on those. I've been fiddling with my Death Guard here and there, but starting to get tired of looking at green.
Yeah.
Mean green.
What about you, Paul?
Oh, God.
Actually, my name's Eric, but you can call me that if you want.
Only if we're playing nice. The first thing that's probably more important that I've been working on lately is I just got in a whole bunch of battle foam. And I think one of the things that a lot of people forget to think about in this hobby is obviously moving your models about, etc. So
Without
one of my
smashing them.
tasks has been actually cutting and building and doing my battle foam, essentially getting that all set up for my, particularly in my case, my Song of Fire and Ice collection. At first I was going to get their specific box for that, but then it basically it wouldn't fit everything that I needed. So I got one of the big old boxes. 40K wise, it's been my Imperial Guard Samurai army. So I actually constructed last week 150 Ashigaru, which are going to be my little Imperial Guardsmen. They're all there to get murdered.
Gesundheit.
Yep. That basically is the biggest one. And then dust.
I need to actually get with you about ordering some of the Japanese stuff.
I actually already ordered a bunch of the Japanese stuff.
That's great.
And some of it will still be on the shelves probably when you sneak around.
Yeah.
So
I do that.
Oh, Japanese.
And isn't there a Cthulhu army for that one?
Yes, and
yeah.
they've released new units for it. You have Migo carrying like weird little
They have
assault
death
ray
rays.
guns.
Yeah, they have,
and they're like the 50s Mars Attacks ray guns.
It's exactly what you want out of them, basically.
Yes.
They're hella murders versus infantry, Terabad versus vehicles, but it's a death ray gun on a little flying eyeball with wings and Cthulhu-ness.
Damn it.
Also a new unit. Also really cool. Probably the coolest thing about the Cthulhu army is if you take the starter box and then you pick up, they have one box that's the Nyarlathotep box. And basically it's this like $100 box. So it's a big old box. But it's literally, you get your 2 Cthulhu spawn.
Yep.
Your Nyarlathotep dude, your starter box, and you have basically an entire army. Out of just the 2 boxes.
Nyarlathotep is nasty because he does Eldritch Scream, which damages everything within like a shit ton of radius around him.
Everybody have nightmares now.
Yep, I have that box.
Yeah, it's a really solid faction. It's interesting. The Imperial Japanese, they've put them. I guess technically they're still SSU, but for some reason they're in their own little block. I'm wondering if they're about to do a break off.
I hope so.
Another thing coming with the new release from them is the Operation Hellgate book. So we are officially starting Operation Hellgate this year, which means basically, oh shit, shoot monsters.
Yay.
It's pretty much the entire description of the campaign for the year.
I mean, that's just kind of a good, like rule of life to live by,
Yeah.
Shit, monster, shoot it.
That's pretty much, it's solid.
So. That comes like right after get paid. Or is that right? No, that would have to come before get paid.
I think that depends on how close the monster is.
Yeah.
Right? Like you might want to get paid to shoot the monster.
Well, it
do both. Could be before and after.
Shoot monster, get paid, get laid, right?
It's a pretty good order of operations there.
We see this in John Carpenter's Vampires.
Well,
the whole entire opening scene is that sequence of events.
As action movies have taught me.
The only problem is
exactly
the master
how it
vampire
happens.
shows up and belly button slaps a guy in half. That movie's so great.
You can't stop that.
It's just happened.
Kung Fu grip action from upside down.
Kung Fu crotch grip? What?
It was
Well, it was belly button, and then he just goes up through the guy,
Yeah,
and then he's
I remember.
It's great. Love that scene.
So
Anyway,
that's been my hobby time lately. So
that's cool for gaming and such. I did some Song of Ice and Fire with Joe. So played the Night's Watch. He played the Lannisters. And that was really fun because he was using Cersei. So he's doing morale and knocking my guys out of the units as quickly as I'm putting them back in. And then we kind of ran out of time. So we called it a draw. And aside from that, our usual Thursday night kill team over here has been a lot of fun and inventive and interesting. I will say that I like 2-player games and 4-player games. 3-player games are a little weird.
Well, that usually becomes tag team, one person, then the other 2 fight it out, and by then somebody's a little more weakened.
Which sucks when you're playing against someone with like 10 models and someone who, my buddy Jeremy has figured out his guard list to where he can get 20 models on the board. And he was actually doing a 19 model list when we were playing, and I had my 5 Death Watch dudes.
That's just called a target-rich environment.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't get close enough to them, and between the Tau and them, they kind of whittled me. It took them forever. Between the two of them, it took them the entire game to knock me down to 2 models left to where I was technically broken. And then we called it quits because it was just like, all right, well, nobody's going to – we pretty much know that Jeremy's going to win this thing because he's got 3 objectives, and I've killed off half the Tau, and they've finally knocked me down to 2 models. So good times. What about you, Derrick? Played anything?
I have not. No, I've just been painting.
No, well, that's
I've just been painting.
Nick?
I've done a little bit of just fooling around with some of the people at Kapow.
Did they pay you?
What the fuck?
He said he was fooling around with them. Well, he didn't. I mean,
fooling around.
I pictured he's got a sign up in the back room
that says mutual exchange right there.
That
doesn't say it's transaction.
We'll hand you for models.
Well, that's the best thing is Kapow's Warhammer community is actually starting to grow a lot, really. So they've got a kill team league going on. I actually personally haven't been able to play any kill team yet. I haven't been able to make it over to the house to play with y'all. But I do have all my stuff put together, and I am trying to get out to play.
You know where I live, right?
I do.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to get out and play on some Thursdays, and, you know, I'll have to go through the rules again, so I'll be relying on y'all to help me out.
Yeah, don't worry. Everybody's pretty much had it drilled into their head, including Joe 2 tiles. 2 tiles. Anyway. Yeah, he kept.
So I'm
one of the first times he was playing, I was like, your deployment is these 2 tiles right here. That's your deployment area. And he kept trying to put dudes like in other people's areas and like all over the board. I'm like, Joe, these 2 tiles. These 2 tiles.
Just these 2.
And I had just watched Monty Python's Flying Circus with Arthur Two Sheds Jackson. And so I was like, 2 tiles, Joe, 2 tiles. And then I started calling him Joe 2 tiles
program.
Thompson. Yeah.
But I will be relying on y'all to help me pick up with it. So
it's not hard. It's just, it's really not.
Roll dice, murder dudes.
Yeah.
Kill team. Sometimes there's objectives. A little bit of everything. I've probably played about 4 games of Song of Fire and Ice this week. About 2 or 3 games of Dust. So we just had Christmas just rolled around. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of new players in the community that have gotten new games for Christmas or things that they wouldn't normally get. And so we've gotten to teach a lot of guys Dust and a lot of guys the Song of Fire and Ice or Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, the miniature game.
And with school starting back up. Y'all are about to have a lot of people in there.
So so that's where Warhammer comes in. They played they've been doing Kill Team a lot, which has been really solid. But a big one for us is we're actually trying to gear up and get ready for whether or not we're going to do a lot of competitive play for this year for the 2019 slot. So we're actually getting ready to pick all of the big tournaments we want to go to and get set up for that and set up our practice days and blah 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 murder kill. So
awesome. I actually taught Rebecca Dust. I forgot about that. I taught her Dust. She enjoyed it. We played 2 games of Dust, I think, or 1. I can't remember. But anyway, we did play Dust one night. So I should have gotten I like taking pictures every time I talk her into playing a game.
I do.
Just so she knows when the roofies wear off, that's what she did.
Yes,
that's what actually happened.
So you have to teach me your secret because I still haven't gotten Taylor to play.
Well, one thing about Dust is it's not even really something you have to teach people. It's like 2 things in and you're done.
Yeah, you're just like, here, go in, roll these dice. If it shows the symbol of your faction, which is this symbol, you did good. If it shows anything else, you pretty much suck. And, oh, look, all your dudes are dead. You win or I win or whoever wins. Just move them around, boxes, squares. It's
just
very
move
quick.
These and roll these dice.
It's so quick and fast and dirty and kind of almost like a board game miniatures war game at the same time. I really enjoy it for that quick, simple play, and the fact that the miniatures all being one color of the faction color doesn't bother me.
and you don't really have to put them together. So it's just like, all right, cool. I just want to play something fun to get a game in.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Which is another one of the huge selling points on Song of Ice and Fire.
Right. Just because you don't have to put anything together.
Open it up, put it together, play. Although Andrea, since I hauled in all of that Song of Ice and Fire stuff over the weekend, that she's been on me. But like, when are we going to paint all that? When are we going to paint all that? I'm like, soon. As soon as you have time,
baby
and
steps.
I have time. Same time.
Eventually.
Probably
It
this
will
weekend.
happen.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun painting the Night's Watch, so it was good times. Cool. Well, we have entered into 2019, as we've mentioned, with a new year.
Oh, victim time.
New everybody.
Victim time.
We've got 14 episodes in, or technically 13 in on 2018. This one we were originally going to record right after the new year, but things happened. People were busy, holidays.
People were hungover. People were stranded out of town.
Still drunk.
Still drunk.
Yeah, still drunk. Well, I mean, whatever the case, it doesn't matter. We're getting around to it now.
That can continue on to this very day, can it?
I'm still drunk right now. I've never not drunk.
Scientific fact.
People are like, your behavior doesn't change when you get drunk. I said, that's because I'm never not.
Consistency is important in life.
Right.
I like to give the same.
But
Functioning alcohol.
for the new year of the Beer Hammer podcast of 2019, I'm making a New Year's resolution here to refine and improve the show. And you guys out there as listeners, all like 30 of you, I would love to hear what you guys like and don't like about the show. That's why we have the Facebook community, the Beer Hammer Associates. Go and join up on it. We'll have a link in the show notes on Podbean, which should also show up on the iTunes stuff and all that. Feel free to go join us and let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, because I would like the show to actually move into, popularity world. Feel free to promote us, share the links to your own gaming communities and groups, because while we are, one of the reasons I named it Beer Hammer was because
We're drinking beer.
Well, mostly because we do sit around and drink and shoot the shit, and that's mostly what it's about. And I did not want to, while I wanted to have the emphasis on like the Warhammer Games Workshop type stuff, because that is kind of the big thing you're going to find anywhere miniature games are played. However, I did not want to pigeonhole myself into something very Warhammer or, Games Workshop keyword specific. So I just kind of put Beer Hammer. There you go. We drink, we play games. Because we do talk about so many other games, because I get interested in so many other games, some of them for 5 minutes, long enough for me to go, I'll buy that starter set. And then it's sit on the shelf for 6 months and I sell it at a swap meet. There were a couple of those people looked at me like, what's this? I'm like, that was something I bought because I thought it looked cool. And I opened it up and read the rule book and said, wow, this looks really neat. I'll have to play it sometime. And then never did. And so now I'm selling it. But,
and people got excited about all that stuff that you had just not opened.
Most of them didn't. Most of it was weird, random crap. But
the important part is Eric just invited the internet to scrutinize him.
Yes, I did. And go for it, because trust me, I can handle it.
Well, because you have beer.
Well, yeah, because I have beer. And I mean, yeah, have you met me?
Well, and he likes to have a reason when he's sobbing and rocking back and forth in the corner. Something to blame it on.
I think that's important in life.
I don't think I've ever done that.
In public.
I mean,
sorry.
I try sometimes. Actually, nowadays, anything like that would normally, cause you to sob and rocking back and forth in the corner, I just kind of go, oh, it's a joy to be emotionally dead, and then just move on with my life. Advantages.
I wouldn't say that you've numbed yourself successfully. Good job.
Yes, I'm good at it. What I'd like to do is, I like me personally, I like the humor aspect. I like the fact that we don't focus on one thing, because we've actually talked more about other games so far in the 34 minutes that we've been recording, more than anything Games Workshop related. Because
they're going to get mad at
Warhammer.
us.
Oh, they might.
Dark
but
Overlords.
They're going to stop giving us our nickel.
Ugh.
They don't even give us
that nickel shiny. It's so shiny.
Like I said,
They do like to give us new ones.
they want to send me a wonderfully Britishly intoned email talking about how they want to give me lots of money and cool free stuff to talk only about their stuff.
Well, first you have to get a cease and desist.
I'm down.
Otherwise, you don't exist.
Right.
Then you can start getting into that.
Either that or you got to be really good at animating. Then you get your cease and desist, and then you get another letter that says, you know what? Never mind.
It turns out that comic book was pretty solid. We'll buy it now.
Right. But, and so, like I said, I would like to bring the show into more stuff, and I've got some ideas of what I'm going to do, and keeping the humor level up and things like that would be awesome, and keeping discussion free-flowing and fun and all that kind of crap. And if you want to hear anything or see anything, I'm happy to listen to your criticisms on our Facebook page. Awkward silence.
I was going to say, what? You want us to say something?
I mean, you can if you want.
I thought that was your moment of triumph.
Right.
I thought you were like declaring victory against the internet before it happened.
Yes.
That's
Winnie, witty, witchy.
Excellent.
Kind of seemed that way.
Yeah, I mean, we're
like
I mean,
period at the end of that. And done.
And none of us are willing to make like a leadership check for you. So,
yeah, I did pull my pants down when I did that. It was fun.
Fight me.
But
neener.
I ain't talking until you put your pants back on and put your junk away.
whatever. You didn't say that last night.
You know you like it.
Right.
I know this isn't technically public, but still.
I mean, close enough.
He's got his blinds open. Neighbors could see if they cared.
Yeah, they could. Anyway, kind of things like that. So we can move on to, games and things we've been doing. And since we've had big focus on Song of Ice and Fire, I can go into the whole rundown on the Night's Watch.
What? Yeah. Tell us more.
I might. Give me $1.
No.
$1?
Nope.
$1? Nick is either wiping his ass with his hand or he's getting $1.
I think it was the former.
Yeah, I don't trust anything that you have to make.
All I got's a hundo.
I'll take it.
Well, it's got a one in there.
I don't want to be here however long it's going to take him to
What do I get for the other 99?
A rundown on Night's Watch.
I'm pretty sure you're supposed to get the box for the hundo. Like the whole.
No, I'm not giving up my Night's Watch. Anyway, Night's Watch as a faction are really, really cool because most of the special abilities you have involve healing, bringing more dudes back into your unit. You also have there are I can't remember which unit it is, but it has a special ability where it can steal the attachment from another unit. So you can snag the Lannister's captain and he can join your unit.
I really need to borrow that mountain right there.
Yeah, literally. Oh, you've got the mountain. Okay, now I've got the mountain, which means you also get all the mountain special abilities on your Night's Watch guys now.
He decided to wear the black.
Yeah. They are beasts in close combat.
Imagine if, I could see that argument right now. Dude just breaks out a spray can and starts rebase coding something right in the middle of the game. What the fuck? He's taking the black.
Just thinking Krylon. Done, and your mountain's mine. Dude, I worked for 12 hours
cats,
painting that mountain.
I spray you to keep it right.
Yep.
I worked for like 10 seconds.
And I did 10 seconds. Now he's mine. Thanks, bitch. No, and then so it's all that. Maester Aemon is the main. He's the main one I've been using on the political board, and he's great because you put him on the NCU board and in the healing spot, and then he also heals additional. He gives you +1 wound and then +1 wound for each rank that you've lost. So if you've lost 2 ranks, you get 3 dudes back, which is almost an entire another rank. And then if you're on the NCU board, you'll get another one. And so you'll end up actually, you can almost get a rank per turn. Just boop, right back in there. Let's do this.
It's cool. That definitely would represent the concept of the Night's Watch being the resilient guys who have forever and ever and ever guarded the wall, and they are the shield and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, that's a solid way to represent that, I would think.
I love the Ranger Hunters. They are, short bows. Their melee attack isn't all that great, but you get in there with a short bows, short range, and you can tag somebody with that attack, and then they're probably going to charge you. And so when they charge you, the next turn, you can actually hit them back. And when you activate their melee attack, you are allowed a free retreat action. So you can just go boop, 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 boop. And then if I remember the rules correctly, which I may be a little off, but if I remember them correctly, you retreat and then you can automatically shoot after your free retreat action. Or something along those lines. Or it's like if you're engaged, you get a free retreat action. So then you can retreat and then you can activate the unit and actually shoot it. But basically you can end up doing both if you're engaged with a unit where you can jump back and then tag them with your bows again.
Here, hold these arrows for me.
They are awesome. And all of the Night's Watch stuff, hits good. Some I think the regular Sworn Brothers, their defense isn't spectacular, but it's not horrible. The morale's good, like they stay in. However, when you get Cersei on a unit that's on the political board and she's hitting you with a -4 to your morale, yeah, you're like, oh God, I have to roll a 9 or better on this 2d6. This sucks.
Yeah, these guys are dead.
Yeah, there's going to be some dudes dying. But and I classically roll horrible on morale tests.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Oh my God, horrible. And so I tend to lose dudes by the drove whenever I play against Lannisters. But they did great. And then some of the other stuff I've used Jon Snow as my commander mostly, and I can't remember what all exactly he does off the top of my head. I'll probably we'll probably take a break here in just a bit, and I'll grab the cards and we'll do check out some of that stuff. But damn it, I was gonna say something. Anyway, the other guys I haven't used yet, and then oh shit, what the hell was it? I don't like. Oh, the other cool thing about the Night's Watch is with your tactics cards, you don't play tactics cards like everybody else does. You can actually attach the effects permanently to a unit as a vow.
Oh, that's cool.
Each of the tactics cards actually is based on one of the Night's Watch, the lines of the Night's Watch vow. So it has, I am the sword in the darkness, blah, 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 all that stuff throughout it. And what it does is it has, okay, if you're playing this as a regular tactics card, it'll, restore +2 wounds or whatever. Or you can use it as a vow and you can attach it to the unit. And then when you burn up the vow, it does a bonus effect. Like you get +2 defense and +2 wounds whenever whenever you remove it from the unit or something like that. Or it'll do like, you can put a condition token on an enemy unit and then do this to them, whenever you burn up the vow. So it actually is a cool little mechanic. I haven't messed with it too much because it took me a few playthroughs to kind of fully understand what it was supposed to do and how to potentially use it. But I'm interested to find out.
Seems pretty cool. Have you tried the ballista?
No, I don't have that yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm
interested.
Or the Scorpion.
The Builder Crew Scorpion.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
I'm very excited to see that actually
are
on the
they
battlefield.
out yet?
Because I was wondering. I do believe so. I mean, I don't know. I don't actually own Night's Watch, but I think it's on the wall. Maybe I might be wrong. That might be the next batch.
Yeah, well, I thought that one was announced as being released with the Free Folk.
Okay,
because the Free Folk comes out the end of this month. We actually ran into
giants.
And they are beautiful miniatures. Yep. We ran into a guy at Gigabytes when we were doing the swap meet. He was playing a game. He was using the Free Folk versus the Night's Watch.
And we were like, what faction are the mint green ones?
And he was letting us check them out, check out the models, and he was telling us about how they work, and they are cool as hell.
Yeah, that company. I mean, the company's based right down here in Atlanta. Yeah. So I mean, and they have outstanding customer service. We've had to do some returns, some issues with some of the things that have come out and stuff from our experience, and they really have some cool. They're doing a lot of efforts right now to build their organized play, from what I understand. Have you seen the models from the game night kits for Song of Fire and Ice?
No, I saw the first one you got in. You showed me a couple of them.
What is that? Is that some sort of like special release sort of deal?
So basically, they charge just a few little. It's not very expensive, and we buy a thing, and it boils down to like players play like $5 or $10 to play in a tournament, and it supports. I think it's 8 per kit, but you can buy multiple kits. And what it is it comes with an alternative sculpt model. So like the first one came with an alternative sculpt of one of the Boltons.
Oh, nice.
And I think we still have one of the kits up at the store because we're planning on running one of those. And then it comes with little like objective marker things and other cool. But I know that the next kit is supposed to be coming with a alternative sculpt spear wife. And I think that would be I'm excited to see that.
Cool.
I'm very much excited to see the free folk on the battlefield. I think it's really cool that they went straight from the battle between Rob and Jamie and right to the free folk and the Night's Watch. So so they're paying attention to what people actually want very clearly. Right. So I think we'll start seeing, some of the Daenerys and her stuff before too long.
Oh, yeah,
and I guarantee you
the Dothraki.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that'll be excited to see those. And
the
then
slave
of course
armies of the Marines and the free cities, the free city of Marine and their slave armies and stuff. All that stuff in the book will be in there supposedly.
Well, the thing I think I hear more people going is when's it coming is the frickin' the frozen dudes, the ice dudes.
Right.
The White Walkers.
The White Walkers.
The White Walkers, yeah.
Okay.
Zombies and
zombie armies, right? That's just the key to life.
Now, the gentleman who had, his name was David, that had the free folk up at Gigabytes, he was telling us they are a very horde. They're going to be very horde centric, and it is all about like getting multiple units engaged with one unit at a time, because then it buffs up how you're doing stuff depending on how you're engaged and all that. I can't remember everything he was telling me. Number one, and I don't want to say too much over a podcast on a product that's not out yet.
That doesn't it? Yep.
Unless I have explicit permission, but I assume that things discussed openly at a game store can be on it. But luckily, my memory sucks and I don't remember all the details. But man, I can tell you that those models are beautiful. Like the giant, I was just looking at the giant and the detail.
They're gorgeous.
Oh, I was already seeing like how I'm going to paint that guy. I'm getting a free folk armor. I guarantee that.
How am I going to paint? We skipped straight past whether I'm getting it straight to how it's going to be painted.
Right. Well, yeah, and that wasn't even, isn't that just one of the glorious problems with Song of Ice and Fire? Is it's not which army? Like, no, I'm going to have them all. I'm going to have everything. Right. And I love that it is actually the game size is small enough. And the price point on them is super reasonable.
Yep, the price point,
so the idea of like, I would love to have one of every army from the books or TV or whatever you like. Yep. I can have it. It's totally affordable to do that.
So, to give everybody a quick rundown, sorry to cut you off there, but
you're not sorry.
No, I'm not really. I run this shit. You don't like it? Get over it. But anyway,
okay, I like it.
I die. That's harsh. But,
damn.
For the internet listeners out there, he is not, in fact, dying.
But for those of us who may, for those of our listeners who may be playing Warhammer and other stuff who are thinking, these guys are ranting and raving about this game on this podcast.
Because
I've heard it mentioned a few times. Now they're going crazy on it. Just so you know, so you don't have to Google it your damn self.
But just Google it your damn self.
You can actually get the starter box that has the Stark and Lannister armies, and it has 2 viable play a good game starter armies, all the movement trays, dicey bits, and measurement rulers.
The kind of starter armies where it's not you're putting everything you have on the board. Like, no, you're gonna like if I'm playing Lannisters, I'll use 2 out of the 3 units and then 1 or 2 of the characters, and there's still plenty of stuff left over that I haven't touched. In the box.
You still got a couple bits. Remember that the stuff I got the Kickstarter thing. So I had a little bit extra of what comes normally, but when we were playing, like you don't get the mountain that rides, you get the mountain that walks with a regular starter box. But that regular starter box that has 2 viable armies for you and a buddy to play
and a very nice condensed rule book that is really easy to flip through and figure things out.
And learn in like 15 minutes.
Because Andrea, Derrick, and I both sat down and we literally, once we had kind of everything pulled out of the box and set up, it was about 15 minutes of reading through the rules before we were, playing. And all that is $150.
Well, and where that's a big price point that might scare people, they with the Night's Watch they just showed that the one player starter set. So if you want to get into it, that's what $85,
right?
And that also comes with movement trays, a political board, tactics deck, everything you need to play that faction, much less the game,
including the tokens, including some of the 2D
box.
Yeah, the 2D terrain,
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
and then for expanding, the units are only $30.
Yep.
Right. So
exactly. And then the one thing I'm really, really, really hoping that they produce is the corpse pile, because one of the pieces of scenery in the game, they do have a plastic corpse pile.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
They were Kickstarters. Yeah. We have.
I have
a couple of.
I believe you can buy them
at some point.
Well, I believe you can buy them direct now. From them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they were exclusive. I think they were just like they came out.
Because you could buy them if you did the Kickstarter and get them with your Kickstarter stuff, but you had to buy them separately.
They did the Weirwood. They did everything that's basically in that like starter box. The original starter box.
I thought your big terrain kit that you got at Gigabytes came with corpse piles.
It did not have corpse piles. That was the one thing I was disappointed about.
There was something in there I saw with, because I remember
it was some like big plateaus, but there was not a corpse pile. But that's okay. And for what and I love the fact it's a piece of terrain. I can't remember if it's impassable or not, or if it's just difficult.
You can go through it. Yeah.
It's a piece of terrain that, because it's a pile of stinking, rotting corpses that are full of arrows and missing their fucking heads, it actually reduces the morale of your troops moving in and around it.
Yep.
And there's actually one of the play styles that when a unit dies, there's a chance
it'll generate a corpse pile.
Corpse piles, and that's a big dealio, because then it really as far as slowing you down, it doesn't slow down your like moving across the battlefield a whole lot, but it does really mess up like charging and stuff.
Right.
So that's a huge deal. You come up and slaughter a bunch of dudes and then charge over their bodies. That can really affect.
Well, it's gonna be slippery.
Yep. I've actually seen that like turn the tide of a battle, where they came up and they just murdercated these guys, and then they couldn't complete their charge because there was a corpse pile there.
Yep.
And then the enemy's counter charge was just
the battle of the bastards.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I mean that's the whole idea. So factions available at the moment. We've said Lannisters and Starks. We've said Night's Watch. Free Folk are coming out, and then you have the Bolton/neutral stuff,
and then you have kind of the little sub factions of the Umbers and the Cleganes.
Right.
So there actually are like Umber and Clegane
and Tullys.
Yeah, and then the
Tullys are out.
Yeah, the Tullys are a main Stark thing, but
you can the Umber,
you can buy just Tully and just Umber and just the Clegane, the Mountains Men and stuff like that, and actually create an army out of that.
Faction of just Tullys would be ridiculous right now, because the only like Tully unit is those heavy, super heavy infantry.
Yes, I don't know anything about Tullys.
They're so a single block of them eventually gets outflanked and taken, but like we have a guy, he'll run 3 of them, and it's just this little pyramid of no. You just it's literally the only thing that stands longer than that is Lannisters, and it's Lannisters just because of the freaking the commissars, like
right, and the Tullys, it's just like they're armored like knights.
Yep,
they're armored like horsemen, so it's
they don't quite have the 2-up save, so they're not going to be the heaviest infantry that you'll ever see. At some point, we'll eventually probably see a 2-up save on the infantry, right? Yeah. But they're 3-up, and then they auto ignore a D3 from the front.
I'll be really interested too to see how they do the Dornish Empire.
Yeah,
those will be really cool too, with the Martells and all that.
Yep.
So it'll be really cool to see that kind of stuff. And I think as of right now, I think it's probably about a good time in the conversation and whatnot to take a break.
Ooh.
And then we'll come back and we can discuss some of the upcoming releases for Warhammer and get onto a little bit of the talk about that. And then after that, maybe
maybe some other talk about some other crap.
One thing I will say is
you wear women's underwear
sometimes.
You know, as long as you admit it.
But just listening to
lacy
y'all,
and it
I'm
feels smooth.
probably gonna end up getting my starter set of
Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
You should. You should.
Yeah.
And then all of us will teach you how to play.
And
I mean, I actually
point in time.
I just looked at what's included in the Free Folk box, and I'm probably gonna buy that one.
yeah. I mean, it's not hard. And I mean, the thing is, you can have, if you buy the starter box and then you buy one of the other army boxes, you now have 3 armies. So no matter where you go, and you can just carry the boxes. You don't have to buy extra cases or anything. Everything will set and stay in the box, and they give you the little plastic bits that hold all the miniatures that are molded in, so you don't have to.
Oh yeah, it's very good for the start. It works.
So you could just take those boxes to your local game store and go, I got 3 armies. Whoever wants to play, I got an answer for you. You know, and I was really impressed with, I think the Night's Watch box set is like 36 or 38 points of dudes in just the $85 box set. Yeah. I mean, or it might be 32. I don't know, but it's above 30, but it's not quite 40. And so I mean, amazing deal, amazing game. And I can't really say enough good stuff about it, other than the fact I think it's going to kind of sweep in and do some damage to people's wallets and maybe to some of the, you know, other stuff that's going on, and it's such a solid product. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come on back to talk about other stuff
and things.
All right. Well, we're back from our fancy little break. For those that care, of course, it was no time for you. It was all the time for us. Anyway,
wasted time apparently.
Yeah, wasted time.
Thanks.
Yeah. Derek's all upset and butthurt because we didn't, talk about how the Fallout Wasteland Warfare miniature game sucks on air. So there you go. The miniature game sucks. I just talked about it.
There you go.
Bam, done. Thank you. Now I feel better.
How hard was that?
Yes. Actually, as Paul reiterated it, because we do try to keep things somewhat positive. It doesn't suck as long as you look at it as it is a board game with miniatures in the Fallout universe. And don't look at the miniatures too closely, or don't put on your prescription sunglasses, eyeglasses, or contact lenses when you look at them.
Well, that prevents the radiation, which you need to be able to improve the model quality.
We didn't say anything about it. Those models are, meh. But anyway, you can get that game and find out all for yourself if you really like to, but trust me, I've got it. I read through the rules, and it did not seem like it just did not fire me up.
I just feel like a video game company should stick to video games.
And that was kind of like, they basically were really focused on you can play this single player, and here's how you do it. And I'm reading through it, and I'm like, this is literally like playing a miniature version of Fallout. And then I was talking to Derrick about it one day, and he goes, I can just turn on my Xbox and play the single player.
I would say that no one would play StarCraft, the mini game, but we do have Warhammer 40K.
That is StarCraft.
Exactly.
I thought StarCraft was 40K, the computer game. Okay.
Exactly.
Anyway, there's a whole big debate on which one came first there too.
Cool.
But
considering StarCraft's 1995,
that's an easy answer.
No, seriously, there are people that will sit there and debate with you, like, oh, but the Space Marines stole from the Terrans and the Tyranid. And
as long as it's good,
all those factions.
But you know what? When you meet people like that, just hit them with a phone book,
right?
Or just something else like that, or something that doesn't make sense. Hit them with a fucking dictionary or something like that.
Learn stuff. What is it? 1986.
Yeah.
For what?
40K.
For Rogue Trader.
For 40K. For 40, yeah.
Yeah. For most of the iconic look that we have with all the 40K miniatures that has just progressed over the 30 something plus years it's been out. Yeah, that was when that started. StarCraft started
in the way
later.
back when.
Yes.
33 years.
Yeah.
So moving on, speaking of Warhammer and whatnot, they have announced a lot of new cool stuff.
Blackstone Fortress 2.
Well, the expansion for Blackstone Fortress with the Amble.
More Rogue Trader goodness.
Yep.
More than anything else, Blackstone Fortress, the thing that has it, like me as an old school, like I've been playing Warhammer for a very long time. I've been involved in it, been in depth. Something that excites me is they're showing love for things in the lore that you didn't see. Like, okay, here's a couple of cool little ratlings. That's kind of cool. Here's a Kroot mercenary that's actually a bad A gangster. I'm like, yeah. And then suddenly there's a man of iron.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
yes.
That is awesome.
The monsters.
I was so
there's
glad.
monster models that haven't been made in like,
Ever.
I don't know, ever.
Right.
Well, I guess technically they were in some things. You know, ghouls were still ghouls. You just used the fantasy ghouls, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They still they had Urgles. They had a lot of those monsters in the back of like Rogue Trader and stuff.
And those,
but they never made models for them.
those Renegade Guard models. If they would
are
release
amazing.
those in just like
Think
pure straight to my bloodstream,
You know they will.
I would
though.
has me a chaos.
You know,
Renegade
with the
Guard.
reception of Blackstone Fortress and people talking about how there are people out there who bought that just for the Chaos Cultist in that box. Literally, they will probably release those sculpts as a Chaos Cultist unit.
And
All day.
interestingly, Forge World just discontinued all of its heretics.
Yeah, they really did.
And
So
that brings us into one of my favorite new models they have announced with the New Year's Open Day, which is the Dread Sorcerer Tim of the Black Legion. He is the guy they announced. He's got the little ram's head
everyone
helmet.
stares blankly as they have no idea what he talks about.
He's got,
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that guy's
he's
cool.
pretty cool.
You should have said goat head flame guy.
if you remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Tim the Sorcerer in
Tim
his
the
first
Sorcerer.
appearance had a goat skull on top of his
Now he has power armor.
Yeah, and he is Tim, and he will fuck that rabbit up.
And he beat up a lot. I wonder how many like interrogator chaplains he had to beat up to get that many, flamethrower things on his back.
3.
All the ones that he ran into.
Yeah.
Uno, dos, tres.
I count 3 unless there's one behind him I can't see. They have not listed what he is specifically or what he's supposed to be, but he's in Black Legion colors. So we can assume they're going to be releasing new chaosy stuff to be Black Legion because, I don't know, a big part of the lore right now is Abaddon is basically going, I'm coming for you.
Maybe they'll release a new model for
Yes,
Abaddon.
there have been teasers of that.
The bad guy of 40K,
Yep.
which has like the oldest.
the crappiest looking model.
It's so bad to be
one
the
of
main
their-
bad guy. Like
on
come
one of their
guys.
one of their graphics that they released that shows like some of the like I guess newer chaos stuff or whatever on it in the side spots that's all like kind of masked out and photoshopped and
In the
blurred out and
periphery.
opaqued. You see the
No,
giant
zoom out.
talon of Horus like as almost like a silhouette, but you can tell it's a model, not like this is digital stuff. They just made it so it's hard to see. And then you can also see what looks like a new Chaos Terminator model in the right hand lower side. That's not a sculpt that's new.
I hope if they release like all these new Chaos models, they release some stuff like the Chaos Lord that's not in Terminator armor.
right.
Because the only one they have available is the old pewter one with just the power axe, and that's it. And the Chaos Lord has so many more options than that.
Convert your own, you whiny bitch.
That's what I had to do.
I would love to see. I would just love to see the style of the Chosen that they did in the Dark Vengeance box, and they did for like the Chaos Raptors and stuff across the entire Chaos army.
Right.
I really like that style for the Chaos models. I like those really hard edges. You can create some really cool paint jobs even as a newer painter simply by doing the highlights like the Helldrakes and the they did Raptors, Helldrakes. What are the giant death cat
Mauler
thing?
Fiends?
Mauler Fiends.
Yeah, Mauler Fiends and
Man,
Forge
and
Fiends.
they look so cool. You imagine I want my regular Chaos Infantry to look like that basically.
Well,
Give
yeah,
them cool pants.
Absolutely, and I think we'll probably. I would imagine that we're going to see that because those Chaos Marines that are out there right now, those models are almost 20 years old.
They are really outdated.
I mean, because they were, almost, because they were, I want to say what was it, 2002, 2003, because thereabouts when those came out.
Because they have focused a lot on trying to get the Death Guard out and the Thousand Suns out.
And I think the Death Guard and Thousand Suns, those resculpts came about because they have been working on all the Chaos guys and haven't been ready to release them yet. And when they do,
I'm okay if they do it by the section, because that also really expands the field of Chaos. The game doesn't feel Imperium.
I do want to. I want to see them
500 million Imperium things.
I want to see them put out the Emperor's Children too. Like I want to see some new Noise Marines and everything.
Yeah, same thing, because those models are I mean, you can get the regular Chaos Marines and you can get the
upgrade kits,
the upgrade kit, but the same thing. Like those upgrade kits came out at the same time those Marines did, and.
You imagine if they did all the Noise Marines like they did the new kit, the dude with the guitar.
Plague Marines. Oh yeah,
those are like the one that they just came out with the crazy.
That'd be amazing,
man. What I can't even remember what he's called now.
The Noise Marine.
The Noise Marine. Like, is that literally all they named him was the Noise Marine?
It's just the Noise Marine
because it's the only Noise Marine model that actually exists, right? Like,
right.
Is that what's
Did you ever watch? Did you watch the announcement little video they did?
I did not.
That's what it's. That Noise Marine.
Oh, you're missing out.
Oh, I love their little. I love their little videos.
The Noise Marine one was just fantastic.
Yeah, they're all like glam rockers.
And then it's just it comes down.
Oh wait, no, I did see that. I did see that where they have the little
the throwback to Spinal Tap.
Yep.
Along with Tim and the Ambull, there's also these Cyber Ambulls that are coming out for Necromunda.
Oh, Necromunda.
Which, I mean, honestly, those models are just awesome.
Those models and the deluxe that just came out.
The deluxe are very interesting.
Those are cool as shit looking.
At first I was like, oh, wait, those don't look like 10 Riddicks. Wait a minute here. But then I was like, you know what? They're super cool looking. They really do look really cool.
They're creepy looking.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think they're very on par with those Vansar models that they did, because those Vansar, they looked really good.
Yeah, and honestly, like, one thing I love about these Cyber Ambulls is they give me such a like District 9 feel.
They look very much like what you would expect to actually, that dystopian aspect of 40K.
Right.
That's kind of underneath, especially in those underhives and stuff. Like,
but I want to know why, because I haven't read any stories that tell me why, but why the fuck is there a Cyber Ambull?
Because I'm certain like some Vansars or one of the higher tech gangs, Orlocks or somebody like that, literally just kind of said, oh, we captured this Ambull. What do we do with it?
Well, in the Ambull,
put some fucking cybernetics on it.
In the 40K lore and universe, these are one of the like terrified, tell your children at night, the Xeno scum is going to come and eat your face.
Yeah.
And then converting that into essentially a cybernetic monstrosity. Fantastic. Is it a dude? Does anyone know if it's a dude in a suit, or is it actually an Ambull in a cyber suit, like being controlled?
It looks
or is
like
it just a robot?
It looks like it is an Ambull in a cybernetic suit. The Ambot is what it's called, and
that kind of says that it's
probably
just a robot.
I would be pleased.
Well, the one looks kind of like a dreadnought that's been redone to look like an Ambull. The other one, it looks almost like some of the head is organic, but I mean that may be just because the picture's not.
That and all of the org players are chomping at the bits to get a hold of those to like slap knob heads on it and turn it into war masses.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, of course. And then, of course, the other stuff I am excited about, because I've kind of been holding off a little bit, even though I have a whole ton of Gene Stealer cult stuff before I really do much with it. I'm kind of waiting on the Codex, and the new Gene Stealer cult models look great.
Yes, they do. And that's just what I need is more crap to put in my Gene Stealer cult.
Yeah, you do.
I think it's really cool that they did something that's easy to put in the universe,
Stealer
like dirt bikes and the little ATVs and stuff. Yeah. And it's super easy for them to be like, okay, here's an ATV with some dudes on it. Here's
there was the teaser for the
a whole new flavor.
There's going to be the cult Magus that's female.
Yeah.
Yes.
That model looks
so
great.
Cool. And I really want to do the Alien Nation coloring on her head, just because that'd be awesome.
Yeah, the spots.
Yeah,
that would be slick.
And because she has that like alien look. I mean, she just looks so kind of alien and exotic at the same. It's like
I don't even, that's just great. You're alien exotic and you're a chick that's going to kill me with your weird alien venom dagger and strange staff.
Psychic powers and friends with dynamite.
Klingon head ridges.
Yes, let's
what
do
about
this.
What about that new tech priest?
I think he is a cool model. I don't like him because he looks like, to me, like almost like Santa as a tech priest with a death ray.
What's not to like about that?
I mean, did he put all his brains into his gut? Like, is that what happened? Because he has like this kind of distended belly that I'd almost think from like Death Guard type
Well, the thing
stuff.
that made me think of first is the old Baron from the old Dune movie.
Dude,
when I saw it, I was like, it's basically him, but in tech priest
Baron
form.
Harkonnen.
which I mean does kind of fit with the whole like 40K having such a heavy like Dune and Isaac Asimov's Foundation background to it, especially the Mechanicus in general.
And then and along with that, it looks like there's going to get a 3-armed Steeler called Gunslinger.
Oh, Keller morph.
He is actually a specific Gene Stealer cult model for Kill Team, from what they're saying.
I think the tech
And
priest
so is that
is
tech
too.
priest is,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a kill team commander.
He's a Kill Team commander along with that guy. Yeah, let's see. I'm looking at the tech priest now
I'm sure they'll get
with his silly little cone hat.
Oh, yeah.
His silly little cone hat and his fat belly and his weird little leg rotting down. And it looks like he's trying to tell you to be quiet. He's like, shh, I might have to fart.
No, he's doing his Naruto thing, just like.
Oh, okay. Is that what he's doing? The 3-armed gunslinger looks way cooler. I bet he could take that tech priest in a fight. Speaking of Kill Team, they're also coming out with the expansion Arena, which is ultra close confines type stuff, which was kind of in Rogue Trader as it is.
Wasn't that in Rogue Trader?
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what they're going to do that's going to make this different.
Zone Mortalis, the Kill Team game?
Basically, basically. And it's more of it looks like it has more of a board game aspect to it. Creates, because like instead of just a board of terrain, you have a board that has like what looks like hallways. And,
It's almost like Space Hulk for.
Necromunda Kill Team
in a way. But you know what? But that's fine though, because it seems like that from
it helps bridging the gap.
Exactly. For what I've seen, it's like it's going to appeal more to board game players, where it's like, everything that you need to play the game is contained within here. After you play it, then we'll tell you that you can add on to it and do your own thing.
How to play the
Don't
3D
look at this. Look over there. Look at the box. Don't look other than the box. Just look at the box.
Exactly. Just get the box, open the box, play what's in the box, and then
move on.
Empty your bank account.
What I'm really excited about too is the new Killzone they're releasing, which is supposed to be a frontier type world. Killzone,
like the outpost world
hence the ponchoed guns, 3-armed guns.
Yeah.
Which
if you don't have a little Wild West in 40K,
well, what's awesome,
but that also goes back to the Rogue Trader thing, which was what was the planet on Rogue Trader? It was at the back of the book where
the Battle for the Garden or whatever it was called, the Battle for the farm. Yeah,
we had to play that one.
Yeah,
that's that's just a great kill.
I know.
Yeah.
I know one of the things I've actually been really enjoying with, especially the Kill Team stuff, is Games Workshop. I think they're doing a really good job with like their cardboard, kind of kill zones and realms of battle. Like those are really nice. Just as kind of an add-on to all of that.
It's a really great way to quickly play. I mean,
it's a great
break
way.
it out, throw it down, and you're ready to rock and roll. You don't need a billion giant mats. You don't need.
You don't need
fits
that
in your carrying.
You don't
case.
need that heavy flipping bag with all the plastic pieces.
Well, I literally took. I put all my kill teams into one of my battle foam cases. I don't remember which one it is, but it's not. It's
somewhere in the deep dark basement of Eric's house.
No, it's not the 720, but it's the one like slightly smaller than the 720.
The 650.
That might be it.
Ooh,
but it
more small numbers. I have 548.
Oh,
how about the 436?
Oh, and we're counting down.
Oh,
it's not New Year's, guys. It's gonna be a long time.
55. 55. Anybody? 55.
25.
But I have 3 layers of foam that's just Kill Team dudes, and then underneath that was had a thicker thing of pluck foam. So I pulled all the pluck foam out, and I can actually set all the
Like I've got all my cards and dice and stuff in that with a couple little barriers. And then underneath that was another thick thing of pluck foam that I pulled all the pluck foam out. And then I put all the Wall of Martyrs kill zone stuff in there. And the mat goes in the like one of the book slots on the outside of the bag.
Game in a box.
So I can literally take like 5 or 6 kill teams and a mat to play with another friend with dice, everything I need. Anywhere I need to go in the one carrying case.
That's a lot of times what the 40K community needs.
Right.
Is faster, quicker.
Game in a box.
You know, we can walk in, sit down and play. And I know they're expanding more and more and more on the rules of Kill Team. And that's something that'll be interesting to see how that evolution does it keep.
Well, it's like your
its quick speed to
well,
it.
it's like you were saying with all this stuff coming out, the more compact kind of scenery things is you can set up a huge game space in a box.
Yeah,
right. And it's giving the players something that we've really needed for a long time. Was not everyone can build good scenery. Oh man, can people build some bad scenery? So having access,
I don't do terrain.
Having access to like really good, well made, okay, glued together, paint it.
Oh,
your mama.
Look, I think the Kill Team scenery that came with the starter box looks just fine.
little bit of paint won't kill you, but but still being able to have it instead of just like, our scenery is going to be this like deli tray that we're all snacking out of.
You're drinking, just putting beer bottles down as you finish.
That is a reference to the first Song of Ice
Mordheim.
and Fire game that Derrick, Andrea, and I played, where we had a deli tray of sandwich meats and cheeses and Ritz crackers on the table, and that was our main terrain piece.
It made a damn fine obstacle, and it was delicious at the same time. So I mean, and I didn't, and something I look forward to any terrain piece now is that it can double as like
sandwich.
as a queso dip holder and ruined building.
Yeah, we actually got to.
You just start cutting slots into the buildings.
We've passed the
put
put LED into the terrain and went straight to the put snack.
Put the queso,
Yeah.
like
And-
just
well,
This is the queso
And if you had-
heater.
if you
I
had-
would totally put that in the top of a smokestack.
heater, exactly.
I am building that for Vendetta now.
That's
happening.
We actually
Vendetta will have a queso heater smokestack.
a fondue building.
I don't know about fondue building, but a queso heater where you could put like a glass, maybe just a glass jar of the queso. The cheapy wall.
Yeah, but you could probably do it in
Nothing
like one of
fancy.
those like ceramite forges or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. What is this? Awesome. Don't worry about it. I'm plugging the table in now, right? Okay, watch out.
Paul, why are there outlets in all of your tabletops now? And just
Worry not, my friend, and only know the chips are delicious.
Derrick and I actually discussed different ways to model cup holders into terrain pieces to hold your beer can or beer bottle. You just put it in a building. You don't have to worry about it getting
Like I
knocked
said,
over.
just get a hole saw and just
I 100% in my basement at home legitimately have a lizardman spawning pool that has a spot designed the exact size of a beer can / soda in it for that reason, because of the inner fat kid in me told me that I needed that in life. And I think you're onto something there, like the force.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I mean, that's perfect because if you table space is kind of that's expensive real estate as far as where your miniatures are going to go. So you have to worry about where you're going to put your beer bottle.
It's important.
It's important.
And everyone
So
knows if you drink all of the beer, that's permanently an impassable piece of terrain if it stays on the table for too long.
yeah,
True story.
And you know what? All I got to say is all the football guys and the jocks, they have all their snack trays that look like footballs and football fields and stadiums and horse shit. Why can't we have terrain that holds our fucking snacks?
That's
All
the
I know
whole
is-
new line. Everything else is done.
is-
Holds the fucking snacks in the train.
2 months from now, we're going to see a Kickstarter for it, and we're not going to be the ones doing it, and we're all going to be sad.
I don't know what you're lying about.
let's
I have a
just-
CNC router in my basement right now.
Let's
ready
just
to
jump
print.
on
It
it.
prints 4-foot sheets at a time.
when you make a high-rise apartment complex building that I can push a button, it'll dispense a Snickers bar. I
Oh,
swear
you
to God,
want it to
we're-
dispense?
Oh, that
Shit,
would be
he's getting
badass.
fancy.
You got to get fancy with this.
I will
make it a quarter machine. You just put a couple quarters in, and out comes some dice.
Quarter.
Dice. Suck a bunch of dice. I want to hit that quarter and put it in there, and boom, Twix, motherfucker.
Twix, mother trucker.
I'm ready to eat this Twix and roll some dice. Bitches.
I mean, that is one thing is wargaming. You do spend a lot of time at the table. Yeah. You spend a lot of time at the table.
That's a lot of snacks.
That's something that we do up at where we play up at Vendetta. We usually every Sunday when we'll do the games, one of the biggest things that's slotted in there is an hour to an hour and a half just to go dick around and eat lunch.
And you got so many awesome restaurants right around the corner from the store right there.
Inner Fat Kid Activate, man. It's great.
And you got one of the best ones right across the street.
Pueblos?
You don't like Pueblos?
Really?
I don't dislike Pueblos, but if it's a choice between that and Shenanigans or Spirits or the
Cajun restaurant,
Bourbon Street.
It depends if you need nachos or not.
I mean, I guess
sometimes you just need nachos.
I guess
I mean, there's that, but
that's the king.
I guess when
Crimson Moon even has better food.
I guess when you work in Dahlonega and you've eaten consistently at all of those restaurants, it stops. They're all just restaurants to me.
I mean, Pueblos is like the same as La Cazuela or any of the other chain.
Because let's face it, Atlanta is blessed. The greater Atlanta metro area is blessed with a gazillion amazingly good Mexican restaurants.
I'm just saying,
so
all I need is
to say to one is that good. That's really saying something.
All I need is nachos.
I work in Gainesville, land of the taco truck. So all I got to tell you is, oh my
God, some of those taco trucks.
Oh yeah,
they will steal your soul.
We've got 3 or 4 actual authentic Mexican food spots all around the shop. And so it's like one day we'll be like, all right, yeah, we'll have this, whatever, we'll have that, whatever. And then one day we're like, shit, we want real shit. Let's go get some carnitas over at Uno Mas. Come on, let's do this. And whatever. And then half the time they're in the square in a taco truck and we're like, yeah, go get me. Go get me.
Take a triple.
Hey, you, I'm sitting there working on you. Are you parked out front? Move. Got a taco truck coming in.
Yeah.
move your fucking car. I'll finish up on you in a minute.
But I will tell you, I'll say my favorite spot is Shenanigans. It always has been.
Dude, Shenanigans is the shiznit, and their owner's awesome. We actually shut the shop down and did a special half-day event for her and her employees to come and get tattooed. And we just trucked them through. And ever since then, super bonded. And I tattoo half the damn employees that work there. And they still come to this day. What was that? Monday, I was tattooing one of their employees. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Quite a few of those guys come and play D&D at the shop.
Because it's
they're big into
quite a few of my guys.
Darkness stuff.
Quite a few of my guys work there.
Those are for special reasons.
For some of your special customers.
Tell them to get a job or else. So they go to Shenanigans and then they go back and forth between Shenanigans and Bourbon Street because they're owned by the same person.
Well, yeah, Bourbon Street has a couple Deb owns Shenanigans and there's a couple people that own Bourbon Street, but yeah, they share employees regardless. And honestly, I mean that's a credit to who Deb is as a person who owns a business, that she will give anybody 5 or 6 chances to be a part of the family of her employees. She's an awesome person. But anyway, enough about restaurant ownership and all that stuff.
That is an important part of the hobby, though, is being able to have access to cool food. When you go to your game store, being able to go sneak off and be like, this is what we're eating today. It becomes a part of the community aspect, sitting down, having a meal together, all of that. That's something you want to talk about, like Beer Hammer. The concept of Beer Hammer is we're going to sit down and have a beer and play a game of Warhammer.
Right. Oh, that's half the fun to me is when you just hanging out. That lunch hour comes and you're all just...
The way I describe it to a lot of my people that I love is that when you walk into a room and you say Warhammer and you yell it out really loud, and the other 3 people in the room who go, ooh, Warhammer, those are your 3 new best friends.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Pretty much.
At least for that day.
Unless you get that guy.
Oh, that guy.
Well, I was gonna say because that'll tell you a lot about who you're playing against when it comes up to the hey, it's about getting ready to be that nachos and beer hour and a half, 2 hours, and they start getting fussy because they want the game to keep going.
I just want to keep playing.
Oh, you're gonna be a pain in the ass to play. Okay.
I got to stomp you quickly because I'm hungry.
Prepare to die, scum. I need nachos.
All I got to say is not uncommon for me to get hangry and literally, I would flip a table more over it's time to fucking eat than I give two shits about whatever rule you want to debate.
That's what every game store needs is a table specifically for flipping.
Right.
That way it doesn't have models on it and etc. That way you have a table you can go over to and flip it when that's necessary.
You just
I think y'all should do like a pilot thing. This is the flip table.
This is literally the flip table.
Yeah, you feel like flipping a table? Here you go. Walk over here, and I'll do it. And every time I do it, if you set that up, I will scream burritos when I do
it. Neighbors won't know what the hell's happening.
They don't need to. They don't need to.
Why would you scream burritos?
Why
He's
would
hungry.
you not?
Oh, fair enough.
Burritos are
The shiznit.
the shiznit.
Yeah, right behind nachos.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I mean,
No, it's not.
It's not.
you could cover a burrito in
Apparently
nachos.
people have been lying to you because they ain't even
Well,
close.
haven't you ever noticed that most Mexican food is essentially the same thing? Meat, cheese, lettuce, some kind of tortilla
You
product.
live in a very simplistic sort of place in your head.
Wait. Don't interrupt him. Go on. Tell me more.
For our listeners at home, Paul just started unbuttoning his shirt when he said that.
I didn't need all those buttons. They were extra. Oh, calm down. You don't have nachos.
But I do.
Oh, Billy.
I mean, I can run down the street real quick.
Where are you going to get nachos in Dawsonville at like, what is it?
Midnight?
Midnight?
Taco Bell's still open. They sell nachos.
Whoa, no. I said nachos, not Fakos.
I think every other Taco Bell in the nation stays open till 2 except for the one in Dawson.
Really?
Probably.
Because it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's like attached to a gas station or something.
No. They
No,
built
that's
a
right, they
new
built
one.
a new one. Yeah.
Oh, they built it.
Over
It's
by the
freestanding.
over by the
And it-
Kroger.
And it probably still closes at midnight. Stupid shit. All right. Anyway. So yeah, that's all the good stuff. Oh, the other thing for Warhammer coming up new is the Urban Conquest. This, from what I have seen of it, is a box set. It's centered around the whole Vigilus thing, and they just released the campaign book for that, which is really cool. And has lots of neat stuff. And we went over that last podcast.
They released a campaign book for Vigilus?
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't actually
It's
seen
called
that one
Vigilus
yet,
Defiant.
so-
I bought it from your store.
Well, that doesn't mean I saw it.
Stuff comes in, we put it on the shelf, done.
It happens a lot. People will be like, Paul, check out this new thing. Oh, that's really cool. What is that? And then they'll explain how they purchased it from me, but I didn't know it even existed. That happens a lot.
You know, they got the new Titan Death expansion coming out for Titanicus too.
Yes.
We should have an escalation league of Titanicus.
I mean,
Everyone in the room just thought how cool that would be.
it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
I don't know if we could convince enough nerds into it,
But
it would
they
be
got
cool.
the
Because most of the nerds that I know that want to do the Escalation League are all on a budget. And Titanicus is a good game, but it is not for folks on a budget.
I mean, I've got enough to get started in a Titanicus league.
And it took you a year to get there.
No, it didn't. It took me as long as it took the dadgum models to come out to get there.
And I thought the point of the Escalation League is to everybody start with models that they don't have. Hey, let's do a league that's based around shit I already own. No.
Yeah, but I haven't got.
I don't have
played.
Titanicus. We're good to go. Let's do it.
They also got that. They got that new Reaver coming out too for Titanicus.
Yes. But anyway,
I don't think there's enough stuff in
The
that
Urban
yet for that to
Conquest
be-
is a box set that has a whole bunch of stuff about the different battlefields on Vigilus.
Please say more scenery. More
It-
awesome scenery,
it
giant
is-
fucking buildings.
They have
the
not
new
announced that
scenery
it
that
has,
GW's been doing for the last couple of years has been outstanding.
Tip top, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Eric, you keep going.
We'll keep it.
Oh yeah, you were being hosting and stuff, and we were geeking. So
yeah, I was actually trying to tell people about shit. Fuck you guys.
We were telling them it's awesome, and like our high hopes and expectations.
They now know
for
that
more
based on
awesomeness
our
to come.
scientific experience, it's made of awesome.
Yes. Well, they have not announced
They've compressed awesome into plastic, melted it down, and squirted it into a mold and sold it to us.
That's exactly what happened.
I think Eric's getting mad.
No, not mad.
He doesn't get mad.
I'm just rolling for how many ass goblins are going to eat your fucking brains.
Excellent.
Or just going to go, cool, I'm just going to shut the hell up and let it be dead silence for the rest of the podcast.
It won't be dead silence, I promise you that.
But when all the listeners are like,
which is
hey,
the problem that we're having
right
hey,
now.
Eric,
exactly.
how come you stop talking? I'll be like, oh, because assholes.
Made of awesome.
Why did you bring us?
Yeah, actually, the Urban Conquest box set does have scenery in it.
Oh yeah,
It has some neat little objective markers. It has cool things like half-buried Imperial statues and things like that. It comes with a whole bunch of maps and different ways to use them so that you can create your own Urban Conquest campaigns. Of course, this is supposed to be centered among the the hive sprawls of Vigilus and all that kind of stuff. That's their setting. But all you really have to do to use it for your own devices is to change the names of shit. Imagine that creativity. But it does have like ruins, objectives, kind of all kinds of things like that. And they are actually releasing a new terrain piece to go along with it, which is the Manufactorum.
Do we have a launch date on it?
Yeah.
It goes on pre-order on Saturday. And then,
Well, I think you just found your escalation lead right there.
well, that's exactly what I was telling them before we started the podcast, is that I'm going to get that and I'm going to use it to create the stuff I want to do for the Escalation League.
Perfecto, man.
Yep.
Now, Cities of Death Escalation League. That sounds fantastic.
And because I've started already formulating the idea of, because I want to do everything narratively. And so I've got the idea of narrative, first things is this planet, whatever I'm going to kind of devise for the whole backstory of the planet, what's going on. Your 500-point patrol detachment type force is either setting down or as survivors of whatever's happened on this planet, and you're running into each other and starting to fight and call for reinforcements. And then so the missions centered around the next game date when we're a little bit bigger are some of your reinforcements have arrived and now these things are happening. And depending on this, I want to kind of do a thing where depending on the standings from the previous, game play, people are going to have, some bonuses and whatnot to whatever's going on, depending on, who won and how well they did.
There are plenty of ways to do really good bonuses in 40K narrative stuff. And I think a lot of people shy away from stuff carrying over from match to match because of the expectation that it automatically creates unfair games. But there are so many things you can do that can create fair games. One of the big ones for story play that I see done a lot is where people will have like, when a unit dies, it comes back. But for you to win, the defender, you just have to last this long.
Yeah, it gives you like an option for like a sudden death victory kind of deal.
All I have to say to that is if you want to play a fair fucking game, don't play 40K.
Because are you insinuating that 40K is not the most balanced thing ever made?
I will say that is one good thing.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
That is one good thing they did with 40K. I mean, especially in like the open war games, it does have rules for if you are the underdog and kind of sudden death objectives to make it more fair.
Right. I mean, the open war deck does have that. The sudden death, stuff like that. The some of the twists are specifically for if you have more power level and whatnot. So there is that to kind of balance things a little bit. And I don't want to be totally unfair and one-sided because I do want everyone to have a chance. I don't want things to be hopeless. But if you're looking for a perfectly balanced war game, 40K ain't it.
I doubt there's ever really been one.
Well, chess is it, but that's really stodgy and boring, and that's played by Russians and prisoners. So. But like for us, at least for me, this stuff when I get excited when you're talking about doing a narrative-driven campaign where the actions of one battle are going to impact what is going to happen at the start of the next one, and that is really, really cool. Because if you just say, oh well, okay, so you're down, you lost by so many points, so starting the next battle you're going to be down by so many points. But if you spin it as your guys failed to hold the objective, so they've been pushed back into this shitty ass neighborhood.
Now they have to hold out, and if they can hold out, then
yeah, exactly, because that makes it
because it does balance it for the underdog. So it's like you get the perk for winning the last battle, but as the underdog, if you can hold out, then you can still bring victory that battle.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other things I'm going to give some thought to is bringing in the battle honors system from the Vigilus. It was either the Vigilus Defiant book or chapter approved. I think it was chapter approved. Yeah. Bring in the battle honor system. So you have that unit of fire warriors that you put in your first 500 point patrol detachment, and those guys don't get killed off. That entire unit doesn't get killed off in your entire games of the Hobby League. That unit of fire warriors is going to be badass by the end of it, because you're going to get those battle honors and stuff. If somebody wipes out that unit, then yeah, you can, that unit go, you have that same amount, you have 3 units of fire warriors in your list no matter what.
But they're just
if it's that same exact unit and nobody's ever wiped it off the table, then it keeps going and it keeps going. The only thing I have to really worry about is the logistics of keeping track of everything to make sure that it's all honest, basically.
Maybe instead of having it be specifically unit based, a lot of times a really good way to do stuff like that is having because the concept of having things that get cooler, stronger, etc. I mean, obviously that's always fun, but something that works really well is have something that is the army has earned an advantage that they can assign to like a unit or something.
Like a unit
Maybe
award.
they've gotten extra munitions. They've secured more promethium. They've blah, blah, blah. So then the army's getting it. And the one thing that does is it eliminates the need to keep up with, did your one unit of fire warriors, wait, is this unit of painted fire warriors or this unit of painted fire warriors the ones that have super cool special abilities? And so you can get that same feel. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely plenty of ways you can manipulate that to make it something that's easily trackable across a campaign.
Yep, and
without just a giant score sheet.
Right, and I'm in the process of kind of figuring out how exactly I think it'll be best, and putting it all together and getting it all in writing for everybody, because I want to actually have a printed up mission packet, because the first meetup is going to be, get your start collecting box or buy a unit for your army or whatever. And we're going to chill. You're going to, write down on the sign up sheet what you're playing, who you are, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to do all that crap from that point. And then literally it's going to be, all right, cool. Then, in 2 weeks, we're going to meet up for the actual first game and then play our first game. And of course, or maybe we'll do the first initial meetup and then give them the little while to put all that stuff together, paint it and all that, then have another hobby meetup that 2 weeks before the first game date kind of thing, and kind of do that so that it keeps people interested and keeps people coming. And that's kind of my thoughts and my take on it, so that everybody has enough time to get that start collecting box or whatever it is they want to do just started, and to hang out, to sign up on everything, so that I have something that says, here you go. I tried to do it online over the Facebook group last year, and I couldn't get enough people giving me reliable information. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get enough people to actually comment, respond. It was like herding cats. And so
you have
I gave
to chase people down to get all that stuff.
I don't have the time to chase these fuckers down.
Yeah.
So you can either do it or don't. I don't care. If you don't do it, you're not in it. That's how it is, because I don't have the time.
Well, something that might be fairly cool, and this thought, it's random to me, because a big problem we did have last year when we did the full hobby league is we had the issue of where sometimes people just don't have time to get their junk painted, etc. Instead of maybe necessarily like hardcore penalizing that, something you could do is actually reward painting.
No, I have the plan for that.
Like, if you finish a unit, maybe that unit gets this because it's finished or something.
I have a plan for that. There is one of the guys in the Independent Characters podcast, Adon, who's a kind of an internet buddy of mine. I've tattooed him actually.
Yeah.
He came up with, for one of his hobby league or escalation leagues that he was running out in California, he came up with 3 stratagems, and I'm going to, make sure it's cool with him that I use them. But the 3 stratagems are all based off Duncan. And it's like Duncan's disdain, Duncan's disappointment, and Duncan's blah, blah, blah. And it's a 1, 2, and 3 CP stratagem. And you can, anybody who's playing can use those stratagems. And the 1 CP one is like, I think it's like reroll 1s to hit or something along those lines. The 2 CP is like you get a +1 to hit, +1 to wound against unpainted miniatures.
Yeah.
And the 3 CP,
that's perfect.
The 3 CP one is, oh, that unit's unpainted, 3 CP, it's off the table.
It doesn't exist. Remove it from the game.
Yep. Screw you. And that gives people, okay, yeah, no, you don't have to have your stuff painted. But
the bomb.
Yep. And
that'd be a solid way to get it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's probably the best plan is give a resource and give a whole incentive reason not to use them. And you know what?
When running those hobby-driven escalation leagues, it can be very hard to find the middle ground for at what point is it we have an agreement for all of our plastic little dudes to be painted and et cetera so that we can have this really cool game, and not wanting the new player to feel left out or whatever. There's the guy that's like, come on, dude, you're being lazy. Get with us, join us. We've all done it. You can put 3 colors on.
Right.
And then there's, the newer guy who's a little slower, et cetera. So, but you do need a uniform. A lot of times you need something that approaches it all.
We've talked about the league before on the show, and especially, Derrick and I have talked about it extensively. And one of the things is, aside from, our own work schedules and us putting guys together and us painting guys, and that we had no problems doing it. And especially me running business, running family, working 80 hours a week. And I'm not exaggerating. I work 78 plus hours a week, literally. And that's where I am. I can't paint really during that time. It's not feasible. I've tried it. It doesn't work. Doing all that stuff, we were able to get everything done, painted on the table. The more impressive, Cody, the apprentice at my shop, who was working in a factory 40 hours a week. And when he wasn't there and we were open, he was at my shop apprenticing, who had less time to sit down and paint models than anybody else because he also lived almost an hour away from my shop. Mm-hmm. He was able to get his Space Wolves, put paint on them, and get them on the table. And he never played an unpainted model. Now, they didn't look that great.
It doesn't matter.
And he
painted
never
is painted.
Right.
Painted is painted.
Right. And he had never heard of Warhammer 40K, painting miniatures, or anything to do with the hobby prior to me going, hey, do you want to join this hobby league thing that I'm doing? He literally had not even, he was like, what is it about? And I told him, and he was like, I don't know. And I was like, there's Viking Space Marines. And he went, oh, really? And he Viking shit.
Want to tell me more?
You got to understand,
this is
the same guy that started out base like undercoating his miniatures just with a bad and black. Right out of the pot.
But it didn't matter because it had paint on them and he had his base coats on them. And I mean, no, they weren't like the most beautiful things in the world, but he's even been going back since the hobby league and cleaning those up and repainting them and doing more with them to get them looking better as he's become a better painter. And it's been something that he's been doing on his own. And
that's fantastic.
And, yeah, and people need to like. I don't know what there's somewhere in a lot of gamers there's some sort of disconnect that says no, I can't do it. It's like you can totally do it. It's totally possible. The time frame isn't a killer, and if you're excited about doing it, it doesn't.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter because you're going to find you're going to find time to bang them out. So, yeah, and and when someone like Cody was brand new and like, yeah, his stuff didn't look great, but it looked fine.
Yeah,
from 3 feet away.
Yeah, you could tell you couldn't tell much. There was paint on them, and you could tell that that's flesh tone, and that guy has brown hair, and that guy has blonde hair. Those guys' armor is all Space Wolf gray. They have yellow shoulder pads. That guy's holding a bolter, and it's silver, and he didn't do a bad job, not by any means. But
and especially in the format of doing those the hobby escalation league where you're not having to just because it's daunting. You're going to sit down and it's like, okay, you're going to paint 111 Night Lords for your 2,000 point army. Go. That's not something that's tackled lightly, but when you break it down into, okay, so you paint,
paint a squad here,
you paint a squad here, a squad there, paint your commander, and you can just, every month, it's just you have a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It's completely doable.
That's kind of how I'm approaching my Ultramarines. I got the captain. Now I'm going to move to the lieutenants and the sergeants, and then 2 squads, and
the idea is that you sit down and you go, this is my whole thing. You have agreed to join this hobby league. You have agreed to do this. You have agreed to escalate your army. You have agreed to make this time in your day and your schedule to do this because you want to do it, because at the end, you want to have a fully painted 2,000 point army that you can play with. Here you go. Here's how we're going to do it. And all you got to do is slap paint on these bad boys. I do not have a rubric for it needs to look good, nor am I judging the paint job. I just want paint on the models and people doing the hobby.
Not to mention, I can't stand the people that run around judging other people's paint jobs. Like,
constructive criticism is well and good.
Well, there's a difference between constructive criticism and just being like, it looks so bad.
Yeah, you shouldn't laugh at it and tell somebody their stuff looks like shit and then throw it at them and bang it off their forehead. By all means, no. That should never be done. In fact, actually, if anybody does that to you, you should probably punch them a lot. But
flip the flip table on them.
Flip the flip table.
Hey, look at my miniature. Oh, cool, man. Are you going to dry brush a little bit more on there, or are you going to paint some of the trim edges on that, or what do you mean? And then you can teach them things.
Yeah, just be like, hey, there's a cool thing you can do, like.
Yeah.
I love the concept of you're talking about having with the upcoming Escalation League, having a day additionally specifically for Hobby Day.
Right. Because that's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah. So that adds both faces of the game instead of only focusing on the gameplay. Just a day where people can come in, especially when you have the more experienced painters. Like a lot of you guys, like Derrick. Your junk is painted fantastically. Just from looking at it. And that's not to say that somebody's stuff isn't great because it's not done, but it's super awesome if someone can come sit down and be like, how did you do that? And you go, well, it's this dry brush. I get all the time. How do you dry brush? What is dry? And they'll watch videos, but that doesn't, I don't know what it is about dry brushing, but that doesn't get into their heads,
There is a comment about most of the painting video tutorial things that we have seen on YouTube.
Oh,
and it literally it shows like the how to draw thing, and it shows box 1 and it says draw a circle, draw an elliptical. And then it's like, it's like how to draw a horse or something. And it's like box 2, connect the circles with lines, and then box 3, do a little mane off the back of the neck. And then box 4, it's like this completed, beautifully done photorealistic horse. It's like, and you're done.
Yeah, that we see that a lot. And then also because once you get to a level where you're going to be doing YouTube tutorials, you're at a spot where you're competing. You're trying to win Goldens and whatnot. And I have seen so many of those that have in the middle of it, there's a piece that if you do that, what they suggest, it's going to screw you up. It's actually going to damage the paint job that you're doing. And I see that really badly in railroad guys where, because they're going to spend 2 years working on a piece to try to win a trophy. And, like, this is how you do such and such weathering. And then at this point you apply this, this kind of, this sort of solvent or whatever. It's like, oh, you've just stripped paint off. Good job. No, it's not helping things flow. That's actually fucking things up. Similar to, it's so there's misinformation and there's people that are being, the YouTube tutorials are a little bit rough, because it's hard to do it while you're right. When you've got that tiny little thing in front of you, because there's so many things that you need to learn from somebody else. So if I'm sitting down with somebody and they're painting and I'm looking at the way they're holding their model, I'm going to tell you, well, hold your hands more like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. You're not going to get that from a YouTube
video.
Brace
your hands off of each other.
Yeah. Do something like that. Or look at oh, hey, okay, so I work in the film business and I've got a light meter on my phone, but I'm sitting here at Eric's dining room table and looking at the light in this room, like, wow, no one could paint in here.
No, I tried. It is horrible. I had to get like 4 lamps.
That's
the light color is
I've got
the light color and output is absolutely atrocious.
Oh my goodness.
So, okay, so if this is the room that you're going to paint in, well, buy more lights. They're cheap. My eyes are, older than I'd like them to be, and they don't work very well. So I've got a big magnifying glass that lights up.
Off of Amazon, I got some $30 bendy arm LED lamps that will clamp onto anything.
Right.
Plug in just about anywhere.
But yes, but they're all those
great.
All those
light.
All those sort of
I've
things
got
that
2
you
big
can
architect lamps that just
start with proper painting space.
but there are all those sort of things that you can't learn online, that in something like hanging out at your local hobby shop where other people are painting, where you can look at somebody and go, holy crap, how'd you do that? Because let's face it, everybody here we're all going to want to talk endlessly about the stuff that we enjoy doing. So it's like, and like me personally is just, I want to see you put really awesome looking stuff down on the table across from me, so that when our awesome looking armies are fighting, it looks really cool. It looks like something out of a magazine.
Everybody's taking pictures of it.
Right. And I mean, honestly, I learned the most painting, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of came up with the idea, because I know we were brainstorming about several different ideas of how to do it this year. And one of the reasons why I was like, well, I really like to do the hobby week and then the game week. And the reason I wanted to do that was literally because the most I learned about painting and with painting was literally from hanging out at the old Games Workshop store, when I first got back into the hobby forever ago. And then eventually when they opened Phoenix Games, I started hanging out there, and they had the massive center part of that store was a big high bar.
Oh, that was gorgeous.
That could have
that was gorgeous.
Well over 20 people around it. I mean, this thing was just gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
And we all sat on these bar stools like we were at a bar and just sat there painting our dudes and bullshitting. And everybody you had power outlets every couple spots. So if you wanted to plug your laptop in and you put your headphones in and watch Netflix while you painted, you could. Of course, Netflix wasn't really a thing then, but whatever. And then,
if only they actually had a bar.
With the power of that combined.
Yeah. And
I don't know if I'd ever leave.
I learned so much about painting techniques and how to paint and stuff like that just from going, hey, what are you doing? Or, hey, what's that little weird bottle of fluid right there? What does that do? And, the guy said human blood, and then put his arm up and hissed at me because the sunlight came through the window and he disappeared in a puff of smoke. I don't know what that was about, but
you don't have to use every piece of information you get from some other painter.
But, it was...
Everybody's going to have the things they like.
Well, everybody's got their little shtick. Yeah. It may not work for you, but it'll work for me.
But if I read about a technique, I still want to try it just to see if that's something I want to use or like.
I actually keep like some throwaway models on hand just to practice stuff like that on
constantly.
Great advice. Yeah.
I wish I had the wisdom to do that.
You just go for it.
I never actually have models specifically that I'm like, these are going to be practice models. I'm like, look at this cool ass little dude. He's going to do a thing. Exact description of how it happens.
Once you screw up enough of your more expensive models, you kind of learn your lessons. So
yeah, I guess so.
Like that entire squad of Scutari I threw in the trash.
I told you should not have thrown them in the
purple
trash.
Stuff.
Could have stripped them.
Purple stuff.
Could have stripped them.
Yeah.
Could have stripped them.
But you'd have to pay them with a lot of ones.
Yeah.
Scutari strippers, that'd be terrifying. Am I watching a chick, or is that the engine block from a 350? What is that?
Robot porn.
It's
just circuit diagrams.
This one's getting a little weird.
Yeah, well, this podcast has definitely gone in weird places.
That's half the fun.
I know.
So who's going to play what in the Escalation League? Any concept this year?
I don't know entirely. I'm actually debating between several because I've gotten stick up my ass to do an Eldari Wraithguard army.
Awesome.
So there's that. Or redo my Tau, which would involve the 8 because I want to do a cool 8 list. I did write one up and that's has 21 battle suits. It's the 21 suit salute.
The 21 suit salute.
And then so there's iterations of that, and then there's my 1,000 Suns, which I'm tempted to do just as a kind of a hobby painting fuck you to everybody, because it's like everybody's like, oh my god, that's the most intimidating thing in the world to paint, and 1,000 Suns really aren't that
big
hard.
Flat plates with really cool, awesome ridges that auto accent.
All you do is just paint the whole thing gold and fill it in.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but
gold.
Everybody goes ooh about them. So doing them might be a thing. Then I could also do my Astra Militarum, or Militarum Tempestus Scions, whichever mouthful you want to try and.
It's the Imperial Guard.
Whatever's copyrightable.
Yeah. Whatever doesn't whatever gets me a cease and desist letter and then a letter telling me I'm getting free shit, I'm good for. There's that bunch, and then I've also thought about potentially doing something totally different. There's the Tyranids I could do, or the Gene Stealer cults.
Yeah.
But I don't. Derrick did those last year.
Well, yeah, maybe now, now you could.
They're so 2018.
Maybe you could. You could run around trying to kill things with a web gun.
I don't have web guns in them.
That's because yours suck.
I mean,
they have no sense of fun or enjoyment in life whatsoever. You have those bland, pasty, listless ones that are just,
The fact that I bought a bunch of Solar Auxilia to put the Neophyte heads on.
Yeah, but no web guns. Fucking no.
You don't need web guns to make an army great.
Yeah, you do.
Like I said, I'm going straight.
I don't know. I believe in flamethrowers.
Like I said, I'm going straight Ultramarines.
Ultra Smurfs.
There's a lot of flamethrowers in the 21 suit salute.
Legit. I think I want to do orcs.
And
I really want to do a lot of those new orc vehicles. They look gorgeous.
With Ultramarines, I finally have an excuse to buy Robbie G.
Ooh.
So he might wind up in there at some point.
His big ass fancy flame sword.
Hey, Paul, have you painted a boom deck a snaz wagon?
I have not.
You should.
Yeah, or a scrappa-jacka dacka gut gun, or whatever the hell it's called, or an anything else orky.
He should have been involved in the name of the fucking thing.
I know.
I mean, it should have just been called Snazzy Gun Rocket.
What is it? Boom deck a snaz wagon?
I have not.
Yes, that is how it is, because that is the best word ever.
I just want the buggy with 6 flamethrowers. That's
speaking of that, with the
second.
hobby days, I'll bring my Robbie G in because I have no idea how to paint that flame sword
with an airbrush.
Oh, you think?
You
know what? I was going to ask. Ask you.
You pour a couple of different colors of paint into your mouth, and you put them in there and swirl it around, and spit them out, and then let it dry.
I was going to ask you for some technique tips, but I'm going to Derrick.
I mean, you could. He's a much better painter than me. I wouldn't blame you.
I'm going.
That just backfired your bullshit.
Yeah.
I just went, yep, he's better than me. You ask him.
It's supposed to be an insult, but it didn't really work how I wanted it to.
I am not insulted when someone is better than me. It does not bother me one bit whatsoever, and I graciously enjoy
and that's good.
Their talent and their amazingness.
That's good. And that's always to me been the best attitude. I paint things the way I like them. I think they look cool, and that's all that matters.
Don't judge my little elastic toy, man. They're mine.
That's right, because you said it at the end of the day, or no, Derrick said it. At the end of the day, you're sitting there playing with plastic soldiers on a table,
right?
Like grown men playing with toy soldiers.
What kind of piece of shit are you to judge somebody's character by how they paint toy soldiers? Like seriously, like I'm sorry, but you didn't paint your miniatures well enough, Paul. You can't be my friend.
I want to be friends. No, I'm good.
No. Oh, you don't want to be friends? Fuck you, man. I thought we were.
Well, that's what the big ass flamethrower is for.
Miss Pickles, bite him.
She's sleeping.
She'll wake up.
Speaking of flamethrowers, I think my tax return is going towards not a flamethrower.
A Robbie G.
No, like a freaking flamethrower.
I love how your financial wisdom has led you towards the decision that an actual flamethrower.
Come to Baker Fidelity. Dear Baker Fidelity, what should I do with my 401k? How many flamethrowers do you own?
If the answer is none, then you need to buy more.
It's Elon Musk's not a flamethrower.
It's an investment in your future.
It's actually not. It's just a barbecue lighter.
Yeah, that thing is actually just, you can literally buy it's a roof tile thing. That's what that is. It's just in a fancy case.
Now you can buy an actual flamethrower that'll.
Derrick has the links for that.
You should buy the one where when you punch, the flames go whoosh whoosh, so you can be a firebender.
You can go.
They're made in China, so they're cheap. You can probably buy like 4.
In Georgia, it is legal to own a flamethrower. It's not like, I don't think there's any law that prohibits napalm or anything like that.
But there's probably laws that speak to how they're applied.
Yeah, I believe those are pretty universal and federal.
Put them in a pressurized tank and.
Well, let's not teach children how to make flamethrowers on the podcast.
If you barbecue your neighbors, you will go to jail.
For 10 minutes plus. Then you have to turn them over.
Think of how cool. Think of how cool that trial would be.
Yep. Or with flamethrowers, problem solved.
You will go to jail.
You don't get to collect $200.
I mean,
I don't care how cool that damn trial is. I will keep my freedom, sir. Freedom fries. America, fuck yeah.
I haven't heard freedom fries since 9/11.
Well, good for you. You just heard it again. Anyway, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up.
Oh, my God.
With some serious America, fuck yeah. Now that we've had a 10-minute discussion about flamethrowers on a Warhammer podcast that did not involve anything to do with game rules or anything in the game or anything to do with
but if you show up at the game with your flamethrower, you win.
You do win.
Yeah.
It's a true story. You don't have to flip the table or anything. Yeah. You win.
It depends. You're going to have pressurized tanks full of flammable shit on you.
And a clicky button to make it go pew pew.
Yeah. And
You win.
I mean, you could always
that would at least be a house rule at your place.
It says it in the book. Remember how you were telling us earlier about when that card comes up, it says Eric wins. There is a rule in the book that says have a flamethrower, auto win.
The first grand tournament that I go to and get kicked out of, which would be the first one that I probably ever go to, and I am wearing a flamethrower and they kick me out and won't let me participate, I'm going to go, Paul lied, and then I'm going to drive directly to your house.
I'm going to videotape it and it'll be funny and we'll get to go to other tournaments because you'll be famous for going to a tournament with a flamethrower.
He's just going to walk out and be like, man.
now, but see, now you're just thinking.
Please do
wrong.
not
So
show up at a Warhammer tournament with a flamethrower.
I'm sure
anyone.
that the tank is made of steel because it would have to be pressurized liquid and stuff like that, so that you could put the magnetic bases on your miniatures and just put them all around the tank, and that would just be your miniature conveyance device.
It's your carrying case.
Yeah. This is my carrying case. Why is there a weird looking thing?
Why is there an igniter nozzle?
What's that
on the end
hissing
of that
sound?
Why does it stink of diesel?
Just
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Just let me roll my dice.
As long as I stay calm, everything will be fine.
You're going to use what stratagem?
So am I? Pardon me, Judge. You just call the judge over middle of round 1. Pardon me, Judge. Am I at the top tables yet? I don't. Psst, it's hissing.
Someone's gonna do the Bernie dance.
The Bernie dance.
I guess you just got a spot at table number 1. I'll be like, Paul didn't lie. That's amazing. I'm winning this tournament. Haven't put a model on the table.
You win your
yet.
own special bracket.
You say
showed up with flamethrower.
You ever heard the saying, build a man a fire and you keep him warm for a day? Light a man on fire, you keep him warm for the rest of his life.
Very true.
Well, yeah.
Actually, that's not entirely true. I have been lit on fire. It did not keep me warm for the rest of my life because I'm still living.
There you go. I like how it not only is the flamethrower, it's a shoot further with the XL18. Enjoy more time with the XL15.
Have you not been able to burn down your neighbor's trees and roof and everything?
It's a Warhammer podcast.
No,
Have you not been able to resolve the heresy found around you?
Right.
It's for pest control.
Oh,
It's a flamethrower for pest control?
You know what? Aren't all flamethrowers for pest control?
I guess.
That's the easiest way to get rid of a hornet's nest with a flamethrower.
I love how matter of fact you are on that statement.
Get rid of the hornets
In the house.
The neighbors.
I killed your bees.
The cat that climbed the tree.
But your bees are all dead.
It'll be $39.95.
They're both napalm compatible too. So
Napalm compatible.
it says it right there.
Is that a special upgrade kit you can buy? Is the napalm upgrade kit?
Please tell me that accessory is called the Sticky Icky Shooty Goody.
Do they sell?
You know, I strangely enough have one of those built in.
It's right down there. It's good to go.
Yeah, it's
in the
down
bottom,
there.
in the
It's
down
good to go.
lows.
Legal to own. See,
Legal to
no, it's a powerful agricultural tool. Okay, it says so right here.
You need a burn permit for that, probably.
All right.
Do they sell the napalm to go with?
Well, it
it?
depends on what months it is and what county you live in, at least here in the state of Georgia.
Jeez Louise.
Yep. And with that, I am going to say thank you all for listening to the Beer Hammer podcast. We really appreciate you guys listening to us. Feel free to join us on the Beer Hammer Associates community page and Facebook. Go ahead, search for it, find it, go to the show notes and links and whatnot, and click on them and join our group. And let me know how big a bunch of jackasses you think we all are. Because we are. Because we just literally spent 15 minutes discussing Bernie shooty gooeys.
You might want to get that looked at.
The Sticky Icky accessory.
Yes. And with that being said, man, go on there, rate us on iTunes, do all that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love for y'all to send me questions, whatever you want. I will mention your name on the show. You will be famous for all 30 people that listen to this piece of shit podcast. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. This is amazing. We're the best ever. Anyway, you all have a good night. Thank you.